very good morning to everyone. Let's start out the session today by welcoming our esteemed guests and speakers. Yang Berusaha Puan Zaliha Abu Bakar, General Manager, Malaysian Technical Standards Forum Berhad or MTSFB. Yang Berusaha Dr. Ahmad Zaki Muhammad Saleh, Chairman of the Broadcast Technology or BT Working Group. Technologist Mazlan Mahdi, Vice Chairman of the BT Working Group and also presenter of today's session. Yang Berusaha Puan Azlina Muhammad Yusof, Head of Broadcasting Industry Development Department of Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commissions or MCMC, who is also one of the panelists for today. Yang Berusaha Puan Zaida Sharafina Sohaimi and Puan Hafiza Zainal Abidin, the lead drafts for the technical codes being reviewed today and also the panelists for today's session. Members of the BT Working Group, representatives from Malaysia of Communications and Multimedia or KKMM, representatives from MCMC, representatives from the industry and our partners, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the public engagement session for the revision of broadcasting technical codes today. I am Leon, your moderator for the event today. Thank you for joining us live on Facebook. I hope everyone is geared up for the session for today. Don't forget to click on the like and share button so that we can share the session with our colleagues and friends who would love to join us as well. Please feel free to say hi to everyone by leaving a comment in the Facebook Live event page. Okay, to register your attendance, please scan the QR code displayed on the screen or click on the link provided in the Facebook Live pin message and kindly select your name from the drop-down list in the form. All right. Okay, we also like to announce something very special for today. MTSFB will be giving out exclusive tokens to lucky participants who registered their attendance to the event and for those who sent in their questions. Okay, so please, more participations and you'll get exclusive tokens to lucky participants. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, before we start the course of the event for today, I would like to invite Yang Berusaha Technologist Muhammad Hafiz bin Halal to lead the prayers or Doa recital. Over to you, Technologist Muhammad Hafiz Halal.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Leon. Let's start our doa recital today with Umul Kitab Al-Fatihah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Malik Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Segala puji bagi Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Tuhan sekalian alam. Selawat dan salam ke atas junjungan besar Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam dan ke atas keluarga serta para sahabat baginda sekalian. Ya Allah, Ya Karim, Ya Wadud, berkati dan rahmatilah MTSFP Public Engagement Session for Draft Technical Codes on Broadcasting pada pagi yang penuh barakah ini. Satukanlah hati-hati kami dalam usaha memartabatkan bidang standard ini di dalam kehidupan seharian, khususnya di bidang komunikasi dan multimedia di Malaysia ini. Kami mohon keberkatan-Mu di dalam memastikan kelancaran majlis pada hari ini untuk memberikan penerangan kepada masyarakat awam dan peserta-peserta yang hadir berkaitan dengan draft technical code ini agar mencapai kejayaan yang cemerlang serta membawa kebaikan khususnya di dalam bidang komunikasi dan multimedia di Malaysia ini. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, berkatilah segala usaha-usaha kami di dalam menjadikan organisasi MTSIB ini sebagai sebuah organisasi yang cemerlang, disegani dan dihormati oleh segenap pemain-pemain industri di Malaysia ini. Semoga MTSIB mampu melahirkan dan mengeluarkan kod-kod teknikal yang berguna dan bermanfaat buat seluruh pemain-pemain industri komunikasi dan multimedia di Malaysia di masa ini dan juga di masa yang akan datang. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina azabannar. Sallallahu alaihi sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wasallam. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wassalamu ala mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wallahu minkum. Over back to you, Dr. Lian. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hafiz. Thank you for leading the Paris. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start off the main course of the event, I would like to firstly invite Yang Bursa Dr. Ahmad Zaki Muhammad Saleh, the chairman of the BT Working Group, to deliver his welcoming speech. Dr. Zaki, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera to all those who are attending this morning's session. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Leon, for the introduction. Our moderator for today, who is also the vice chairman for the second for the sub-working groups under BT Working Group and the DTT sub-working group for the IPTV and OTT. Yang berusaha Puan Zaliha Abu Bakar, General Manager of Malaysian Technical Standards Forum Berhad, MTFSB. Technologist Haji Mazlan Mahdi, my good friend and colleague, Vice Chairman of the BT Working Group and also presenter for today's session. Yang berusaha Puan Azina Mak Yusof, Head of Broadcasting Industry Development Department Malaysia, Communications and Communication MCMC, who is also a member of the panel today. Yang berusaha Puan Syahidah Sharafina Sohaimi and Puan Hafizah Zainal Abidin, who have been working very hard to develop as draft leads for the technical codes which we will be reviewing today, and also panelists. Both of them are also panelists for this session. Not to forget members of the BT Working Group who has been working very hard in the background, representative from the MCMC or KKMM, ladies and gentlemen, industry partners, and all those who are here today. Thank you very much, and Assalamualaikum, very good morning. Okay. Firstly, I would like to thank Puan Zaleha and members of the MTSFB team for organizing this public engagement exercise in support of the revisions of the technical codes and with regards to broadcasting, which will be presented and deliberated today. I would like to warmly welcome all of you to this session today. It's such a pleasure to see all of you here today. I'm excited and I'm looking forward to be engaging you people in today's session. A little bit of background, ladies and gentlemen. The journey of the technical codes for DTT, Digital Terrestrial Television, and DTH, Digital Direct to Home. So DTT is specifically for the terrestrial services. Direct to Home is the satellite receiver technology. Has been started quite long ago, since 2008. Today, things have changed throughout the years. Technology have changed and many other things. So our guidelines have to change as well, and our TCs to suit the technological advancement. So it has been done, and this is what we're going to deliberate today. I would leave the details and revisions to Technologist Mazlan to explain later during his briefing session. Please feel free to engage and ask questions if you feel that there are any clarifications required. While it is important to ensure that the industry needs to follow the requirements of the receivers and equipment, it's also quite important to ensure the safety of end users, right? So the equipment must not only work, but it must also work safely. I think that's the main gist of getting this document done. I believe that the inclusion of the safety aspect is also a crucial part of the revision amongst the updates of the frequencies, the codecs, the new broadcast tool, etc., etc. It is also vital, of course, to ensure that the services and equipment for broadcast will fulfill all forms of expectations from the providers, manufacturers, and not to forget the rakyat as well, the users and stuff like that. Okay. today's session is very important, and we will have to discuss and deliberate on the revisions very thoroughly. We have to cover as much angles as possible so that we do not leave anything out, and to make sure that the document remains relevant. Okay, we can in this session today we will also be hearing views from our panelists, myself including, and hopefully we will be able to clear or clarify any lingering questions or things that you don't understand or needs further clarifications. Okay, I think last but not least is actually I'd just like to quickly acknowledge some of the committee and organizations involved in the development of this TC. So it's first I would like to not to delay the presentation and the discussion that we're having today. So before I end, I have to thank the BT working group members. Yeah, that's number one. And they have been working very hard. These are the people who are also having other commitments in the industry. So, for them to take time off and come to attend meetings and discuss, deliberate, give their opinions and stuff, that is a huge undertaking. And I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to all the members of the BT working group. And it's such a pleasure working with all of you. And I look forward to still keep on working with all of you for the next or the future theses and documents that we will be producing. The journey is yet to end, as I mentioned, and let us walk through this together. And for all the participants in the engagement session today, please don't be shy. After all, it's online anyway. I know that when you are in a face-to-face mode, you tend to be a little bit more shy. But once you are in an online mode, you tend to be a little bit more verbose. So please continue and become ask any questions and discuss anything that's in your mind. Okay, right. I think that's about it. Thank you very much again. And I would like to hand over the floor back to Dr. Leon for your further deliberation. Thank you very much. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Dr. Zaki, for the welcoming of the participants of today's session and for the kind words. Just a reminder that just now Dr. Zaki said that, to give more comments and questions. As a reminder earlier, we mentioned also that we have tokens to be given out to those who actually engage and share questions. So yes, keep those questions coming and we'll address them one by one. Okay, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the core of our discussions of this event, today we'll be discussing important updates to several technical codes developed by the BT Working Group, namely Digital Terrestrial Television, DTT Active Indoor Antenna, first revision. Specifications for Digital Terrestrial Television Broadcaster Receiver, second revision. Specifications for Direct-to-Home Broadcast Receiver for Set-Top Box, second revision. Okay, sounds like a lot, but we at the BT Working Group strongly believe that these revisions are crucial in supporting the new technologies and also the inclusion of improvements and safety aspects to enhance the consumer experience. This is also an example of how we will evolve the development through the technical codes in response to the market and technology conditions and trends. To further explain the respective technical codes and revisions being proposed, I will call upon technologist Mazlan Mahdi, who will be presenting on behalf of the BT Working Group to introduce and walk us through the proposed revisions to these technical codes. Please welcome technologist Mazlan.
Assalamualaikum. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Leon, for the intro, as well as thank you to Dr. Zaki for giving us the heads up and then an overview of the broadcast industry and why these revisions are needed for MTFSB and for Malaysia at large. Safety is a key proponent of this revision, as well as the features and functionality of the devices, particularly the broadcast devices that we have at home, the customer premise equipments. So this has always been our focus at MTFSB, as well as us being part of the broadcast industry players in Malaysia. So our objective has always been to serve you with the best of the technical specifications, as well as the latest functionality and features that would actually augment or and amplify the products and services that all the broadcasters, as well as the application service providers, produce in their products and services. So without further ado, I'll lead you through the brief revisions. Take you through the revisions on the three papers that we have here. The number one being the DTT, active indoor antenna. The second one is the specifications for the DTT broadcast receiver. And lastly, the specifications for the DTH broadcast receivers, particularly for set-top boxes for satellite reception. I'll run through the agenda for today. Next slide. First, will be a slight brief introduction on MTFSB and its work groups, and the background of the technical codes, and what goes on those technical codes, and the requirements that we have set forth in these revisions. Take you to the first agenda, the introduction on MTFSB and the work groups. Well, we have 10 working groups under MTFSB, and today's event is actually under broadcast technology, work group number 10, and the three papers that we are producing or revising today is actually managed by multimedia broadcast receiver. And the leaders of the broadcast technology work group consist of, next slide please, Dr. Ahmad Zaki Muhammad Saleh, who's from Media Prima Berhad, who's also our chairman of BT Work Group, and also the vice chairman of the BT Work Group is myself, Mazlan Mahdi, as well as the secretary for BT Work Group, Puan Shahida, and we also have our supporting and loyal members, the secretariat of BT Work Group, TS Muhammad Hafiz, as well as Encik Muhaimin. On the MBR, sub-working group leaders, is being chaired by me, vice chaired by Puan Shahida from SIRIM, and I would like to introduce the three draft leads for these three papers, one being Puan Nurhanisa from SIRIM, and Puan Shahida from SIRIM, as well as Puan Hafiza from SIRIM Berhad. And we have the secretariat at the S. Muhammad Hafiz and Encik Muhaimin as well to support all the background works that we have done. So the chronology of these registered technical codes here, just to give you a highlight of these papers. Now, the specifications for DTT, service broadcast receiver, was first published on 31st January 2013, and is focused on free-to-air digital terrestrial television, radio, and enhanced interactive television services in Malaysia. Whereas the second paper, the DTH paper, was also first published on the 31st of January 2013, and it was meant for receivers utilizing KU band signals reception in the frequency range of 950 to 2150 megahertz, coming from the satellite receiving antenna systems downlink. And the third paper is the specifications for DTT active indoor antenna, and this was first published on 12th of July 2017, and it specifies the minimum requirements for active indoor DTT antennas in receiving DTT signal for frequency range of 470 megahertz to 742 megahertz ultra high frequency. Moving on to the next slide is I will share with you the objectives of why we need to revise these technical codes. The next slide, please. As you all are aware, these devices that you're seeing in front of you, yeah, the CPE, these customer premise equipments, are essential towards receiving the broadcast transmission from multiple service providers at Malaysia, particularly from MyTV Broadcasting as well as from Astro. Uh, and the active indoor antenna, we have actually seen a rise in consumption. Yeah, there's a lot of people now who opt to use these active indoor antennas in their homes because of its user-friendly features, and it's easy to set up. It's just plug and play. So hence, this is why our work group decided to relook into the specification of all these papers. We wanted to make sure that it's safe to be used. It actually aligns to the latest changes or in parameters from the broadcast stations, and also it is able to decode the latest products and services that the broadcast platforms are outputting or churning out. Okay, the next slide, please. The purpose of the technical codes are simple in a way that it serves as the main reference for Malaysian certification body to certify broadcast receivers, yeah, DTT and DTH, and also the DTT active indoor antenna in Malaysia prior to their importation and sales into Malaysia. And these technical codes assures all DTT, DTH receivers are reliable, conforms to the Malaysian standards, and are safe to use. And the reason for this revision is because the technical codes have not been revised for quite some time now, and therefore the technical code needs to be in line with the current technology advancement. And we realize that some specifications are outdated and are no longer reliable to go along with the current technology. Okay, moving on to the next slide. We will share with you how these technical codes were developed. We have targeted some stakeholders, yeah, who would benefit from these revisions. Yeah. One being the certification body in Malaysia, that is CIRIM. Secondly, the manufacturers. And we have actually local and international manufacturers who are indeed keen to know of these developments. And also another key stakeholder is, of course, the broadcasters alike in Malaysia, the free-to-air broadcasters and even the pay TV platform broadcasters, and also the CIP, the centralized and integrated infrastructure provider for Malaysia, and that's MyTV Broadcasting, yeah, for DTT transmission in Malaysia. And lastly, the distributors of these broadcast receivers and DTT active indoor antenna. Now, we have deliberated on the parameters quite some time. We have gone through about 6 meetings prior to this, and now we have come to this stage whereby we have to conduct a public engagement exercise, whereby we need to populate any comments, opinions, or views from the public. So here I'm encouraging everybody, all the viewers here, to share your thoughts, share your opinions through the comment section provided, so that we will be at best to address these questions in this session to the best of our ability. Yeah? And we plan to submit this for further approval to MCMC by next month. So inshallah, we hope that this will be enforced in a very short time, yeah? Hopefully by next year. And the contributors, we have a lot of participants or contributors to these papers, from TV Al Hijrah, Fraunhofer, LG, Maxis, Mesat, Media Prima, Multimedia University, MyTV Broadcasting, RTM, Samsung, Sharp, Smart Digital International Sdn Berhad or Series TV, CIRIM, Smart DTV, Sony, Telecom, and white mines. Sorry. Okay, moving on. Let's look into the technical code requirements. As a summary, yeah, for the first paper is the active indoor antenna. This document is to describe the specification for active indoor DTT antennas. And just for your information, an active antenna contains active electronic components that provides wider frequency range or bandwidth than passive antennas. And the rationale is to ensure that the reception quality in delivering the DTT signal without it causing nor receiving interference with other radio communication services. And it needs to comply with these testing and certification bodies so that they can ensure that these active antennas complies to the Malaysian specification. On the scope, next slide, for the DTT active indoor antenna. Now, this technical code specifies the requirement for active indoor digital terrestrial television antennas. And the DTT reception quality depends on several antenna parameters, which contains active electronic components to ensure the receiver receives the right DTT signaling in the frequency range of 470 to 694 megahertz ultra high frequency. And devices of the indoor DTT antenna shall not cause interference with other radio communication services and should be able to tolerate any interference caused by other radio communication services or electrical and electronic component. Now, the parameters that we put focus on is, of course, the operating frequency range, the antenna gain, the noise figure, the output OIP the measures, the return loss, the antenna pattern directivity, temperature range, as well as the ESD, electrostatic discharge. As a summary, what we have done to this paper is we have updated the analog switch off. We have updated the operating frequency range from 174 to 230 megahertz VHF to 470 megahertz to 694 megahertz UHF. And we have also updated a new limit of antenna gain between 6 dBi to 20 dBi. We have also changed the clause title from directivity parameter to antenna pattern directivity and categorize it as optional. We have also included a new temperature range and as well as a new standard in NXA referring to ETSI EN 303354 and IEC 61000-4-2. We have also removed parameter and testing procedure for passive antenna gain and suppression of unwanted signals and power consumption. So all in all, that's basically the summary of the revision that we have done for the DTT active indoor antenna. Moving on to the next paper is the DTT broadcast receiver, and this is our second revision. And this document describes the specification for certified free-to-air terrestrial receivers, and the existing technical code is considered outdated as it was initially published in 2013, way before the analog switch-off, which happens in 2019. And the DTT for operating frequency range is also aligned similarly to the active indoor antenna. Now it's now aligned to 470 megahertz to 694 megahertz UHF. And we have also looked into other parameters and with the objective to make it in line with the current technology advancements. Therefore, there has been some changes in the audio video processing standards and codecs. Now, the rationale is, of course, for the industry to follow the requirement and guidelines of the DTT receivers and to ensure that the testing and certification bodies can ensure that these receivers comply to the regulatory specifications, and lastly to ensure the approved DTT receivers are compatible with latest technology offered by MyTV Broadcasting and the Malaysian free-to-air broadcasters. the next slide, please. On the content of the technical code, we looked into the scope and to share with you on what sort of devices that is actually related to this technical code. There are integrated digital TVs who needs to comply to these codes, as well as the set-top boxes and other similar devices intended for use to receive DVB-T2 signaling, such as USB dongles, PC cards, portable and vehicle mounted equipments. Now, in the document, generally there are a few requirements that we are focusing upon. One is the use of DVB-T2 as the main operating modes as defined in HCEN 302755. We also looked into the input and output interfaces. We also we looked into the audiovisual coding utilizing MPEG-2 systems in terrestrial broadcasting system as defined in HCTS 101154. And we focus on the processor and memory to keep it up to date with the current requirements. And we wanted to ensure that the performance is also maintained to ensure the high quality signaling that is currently available on free to air. And other than that, we look into the service information, the common interface, the software updates, the methods to update the box, and also other DVB sub-services such as subtitling, multi-language support, receiver character set, remote control, and EPG. As a summary, the DTT broadcast receiver, we have updated the operating frequency range to align with our active indoor antenna, which is now aligned to 470 megahertz to 694 megahertz UHF. And we expanded the DVB-T2 receivers to include now the USB dongles, PC cards, portable and vehicle mounted equipment, as well as we added in new technical requirements for safety, for codecs, for network download, and the common interface slots. Sorry. And we also revised the latest standard for EMC, processor and memory, as well as the input connectors. So all in all, that's the summary for our second paper here, the DTT broadcast receivers. Now let's look into our third paper, the specification for DTH, direct-to-home broadcast receiver for set-top boxes. Now, as a summary, this document describes the specification for DTH broadcast receiver, DTH set-top boxes, used for KU band signals reception. Currently, this is widely used by MyTV as well as Astro. And the receivers itself, the inputs to the set-top box are L-band composite carriers in the frequency range of 950 to 2150 megahertz, coming from satellite receiving antenna systems downlink. Again, this technical code is outdated since it was first introduced in 2013. So it's now timely for us to revise it, as the industry has seen numerous changes in the audio-video processing standards and codecs. Thus, the technical code needs to be in line with the current technology advancement. And the rationale is similar to our DTT boxes, is for the industry to follow the requirements and guideline of their DTH set-top boxes to go alongside with the regulatory requirements, and to ensure that the testing and certification bodies such as CIRIMS can ensure that these receivers comply to the Malaysian specifications, and ultimately to ensure the approved receivers are compatible and interoperable amongst different DTH service providers in Malaysia. The content of these technical codes, particularly of this DTH broadcast receiver set-top boxes, it provides the guideline on the modulation and radio frequency as defined in HCEN 302-307, the requirement for the input and output interfaces, as well as the audio-visual coding utilizing MPEG-2 systems as defined in HCTS 104-154. And also we looked into the processor, memory, service information, renewable security, conditional access, as well as methods for software update and other sub-DVB services such as subtitling, multi-language support, receiver character set, remote control, and EPG. So in summary, the changes that we have made into the technical code for DTH are the revision to comply to the latest standard on EMC is aligning to CISPR 32. And we have also updated it to include the latest processor and memory minimum benchmarking. And also we have put in an EPG clause into the document. And we have also added in a new technical requirements for IEC 62368-1 for safety. And we added in a new audio and video codecs relating to MPEG-H and HEVC, and also a conditional access slot for DVB CI Plus 2.0 according to HCTS 103605, as well as the inclusion of the network download on top of the over-the-air download for software upgrade process. So all in all, that's all I have as a brief overview of the changes and the revisions that we have made to the 3 papers. So I believe I'll pass it back to you, Dr. Leon.
Thank you very much, Technologist Mazlan, for the insights on the draft technical codes. It's many slides there, and you've explained it very well. Yeah, hope that would help clear our participants to understand the criticality of the revisions to the technical codes, and therefore provide us with feedback and improving the draft. Okay, for now, it seems like we have a good participation for today's session. On Facebook, we are seeing 50 plus viewers. Thank you for joining us. A special shout out to some of our members on Facebook, Umu Imran, Fina Junaida, Mus from AND, Haji Aslan from EMF Simulations in Berhad, Rudy Arshad from SDEC. Thank you very much for participating and making this event more lively. For now, let's proceed with a 5-minute break. Otherwise, please stay on for some informational video for your viewing pleasure during the break. See you again in 5 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us for the second half of the event. Now we have arrived at the Q&A session. I will be moderating this discussion for the session. I will like to welcome the panelists joining me today. Okay, let me introduce the list of panelists. Um, Give me one moment. Okay, first off, we have technologist Mazlan Mahdi, CEO of MyTV Broadcasting Sdn Bhd. Mazlan Mahdi is the Vice Chairman and Broadcast Technology Working Group and the Chairman of the Multimedia Broadcast Receiver Sub-Working Group in MTSFB. He has contributed to several technical codes in ensuring the compliance to ITU. He is currently leading MyTV business operations into the new digital broadcast and telecommunications era, focused on expansion and enhancements of MyTV and MyFreeview service offering and digital products, harnessing of diversified multimedia contents.
Thank you, Dr. Leon.
Yep. Next in the panel, we have Puan Saida Sharafina Sohaimi. She's a Senior Auditor, Communications and Multimedia Certification Section 2 of Sirim Cast International Sdn Bhd. Saida started joining MTSFB in 2017 and has been contributing through the Broadcast Technology Working Group since then. She takes on the responsibility as the Secretary of the Broadcast Technology Working Group. She holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering, majoring in telecommunications from Technology Mara Shah Alam. She has been with Sirim for 11 years and currently serving under Communications and Multimedia Certification Section 2. She has a role of providing certification in communications and hybrid products to ensure safe and quality products being sold on the shelves and online. Welcome, Puan Shaida.
Thank you, Dr. Leon.
Next up, we have Puan Hafiza Zainal Abidin, Senior Testing Executive of the RFEMC Testing Section of Sirim Cast International Sdn Bhd. Hafiza Zainal Abidin joined MTSFB Working Group since 2010, and her major role in the development of technical code through the Broadcast Technology Working Group is the draft lead for the digital terrestrial television active indoor antenna. She holds a bachelor's degree in communications engineering from the University Malaysia Perlis and a Master of Science in Telecommunications and Information Engineering from University Mara. She is currently the Senior Testing Executive for Sirim Cast International Sdn Bhd, majorly involved in testing of communication products to comply to Malaysia and international standards.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Leon.
Yeah. Next up, we have Puan Azlina Muhammad Yusof, Head of Department Broadcast Industry Development, Malaysia Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC. Azlina Muhammad Yusof has over 25 years of experience in broadcasting industry, including regulatory and industry development areas. She has steered the national agenda to migrate analog free-to-air terrestrial television to television broadcasting to enable the Malaysia analog switch off in 2019. Azlina is currently the head of the Broadcasting Industry Development Department of Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Leon. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi, Puan Zina.
All right, what a great lineup of panelists we have for today. Please all give them a warm welcome by clicking like or love on the Facebook Live comment section. Over the break, we have a few more comments. I would like to give a special shout out to Haji Aisharuddin Nuruddin from MCMC. Thank you very much. Adrian Van for posting a question.
Yep.
Okay. In addition, there is another draft lead for the technical code on digital TV broadcast receiver, namely Puan Nohanisa Muhammad Basri. Unfortunately, she is not joining us on the panel today. However, I'm sure Puan Nohanisa is channeling her spirit and support to us for this discussion and the thesis today. Let's send some love to Puan Nohanisa. We will be taking questions from Facebook Live comment page, and at the same time, we will talk about the various aspects of DTH and DTT as well as technical codes in the discussion. All right. To start off the discussion while we take on the question from the floor, from Facebook, I would like to pose some general questions to our panelists here. Okay. Firstly, to Puan Saida, I would like to ask you, what kind of immediate impact do you see in revising the DTH receiver technical code?
Thank you, Dr. Leon, for the question. So the reason why we revise this technical code is mainly because of the requirement mentioned in the existing technical codes are already outdated. All right. So of course, those outdated and old requirements can leave industries at risk, and they may fail to comply with the latest evolved technologies nowadays. So it was burdensome to the industries. So, Doctor, this is what triggered us to come forward and kickstart the revision of this technical code. And we strongly believe that this technical code will be beneficial to all stakeholders as a reference in producing DTH STB to be used in Malaysia. So, thank you. Over to you, Dr. Leon.
Okay, and also today on the panel, we have a very important person, Puan Azlina, representing MCMC. Puan Azlina, so what is your general opinion on these revisions? Are they timely or are they in line with MCMC's revision moving forward?
Thank you, Dr. Leon, for
What are
the
your initial
question.
comments? Yeah.
I think the revision of the technical codes is really timely, considering that there are enhancements in digital television technology around the world, which includes interactive applications and also enhancement to DVB-T2, where you're seeing the technologies proceeding towards more IDTV usage rather than the set-top boxes. So whatever it may be, set-top boxes and IDTV must be in tandem with technological evolution. And I do believe that the market has got to be aligned to the initiatives of the forum in enhancing the technical standards and the specifications per se. Yep.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we have some questions arising from comments that's been submitted to us. Let me first take the first question, and this is directed to Puan Hafiza. How long to complete the testing for active indoor antenna? How long did it take to complete this testing?
It takes 2 days to complete the testing, and the test report will be issued within 10 working days after complete all the testing.
So 2 days to test and 10 days for the report to come out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And may I ask, Puan Hafiza, in case a manufacturer fails certain parameters, are they allowed to revise or fix the faults, or are they allowed to change the parameters during testing?
Yeah, we are allowed to do any modification during the testing, and we will do the retest after all
Retest.
the modification complete. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. All right. The next question also to Puan Hafiza, also for active indoor antenna. Does CIVIM Lab have facilities for active indoor antenna testing?
Yes, we have the facilities, and we are capable to perform the indoor antenna testing.
Okay. Next question that was submitted. This one is for specifications for DTT receiver draft, and is directed to Puan Saida. The question is, what are the mandatory scopes of test for DVB-T2 receiver?
Okay, so basically there are three mandatory scopes for DTT, which will be covered for testing and certification. So mainly the EMC, which is electromagnetic compatibility, the safety requirements, and of course the DTT itself, which will be covering the SIPSI, RF, and also the OAD.
I hope that answers the questions to the submitter. Next one to Technologist Mazlan. Does also on the topic of DTT receiver, does the revision of the DVB-T2 receiver and DTH satellite broadcast receiver will impact the existing certification product in the market?
The revision of these technical codes will not impact the existing certified product in the market. However, it provides the guideline for future products um, in the market for manufacturers to align to.
Thank you. Okay, we have the next question. And this one is for Puan Azlina. Um, how important is the TC to protect the industry of broadcasting?
Well, in the regulatory aspect, the TC has to be established in order to protect illegal boxes that may be imported and may be marketed, yeah, by certain parties. So the technical code, upon registration, as I think everybody know, will have a certification by CRIM and MCMC. There's a logo there where you can actually educate your public, your consumers, to buy only certified devices. Yeah. So therefore, this is one of the initiatives that MCMC is undertaking to protect consumers' usage of devices in the country, and to prevent importation of unlawful and illegal devices.
Yeah. If I may add to what Puan Nazrina is saying is we also ensure that the performance and the functionality of the devices are also aligned. For example, if you buy a particular illegal set, the first thing that you will notice is the logical channel number, the LCN. It will differ. It will not be aligned to what the broadcasters have set up. For example, RTM TV1 is at 101. So if you buy an illegal boxes, most likely it will come out to 801 or 800 and above. So this defeats the purpose of conformity to all the devices in Malaysia.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Next up, we have a question from also to Technologies Maslan. And the question comes from Ahmad Fizol bin Manzor from Radio Television Malaysia. And the
Fizo. I know Fizo. Yep.
Fizol, yeah. And the question is, are there any plans to update the technical code or rules of operation in terms of DTT transmission, such as modulation scheme, FEC, to take into account quality of service for indoor or mobile reception?
Okay. Yes, we have also always looked into how to enhance the technical codes that we have set so far. But this will come into plan or into implementation once we have a clear direction of what we need to look into in terms of the parameters, and particularly this would need to which will in the end contribute to the quality of service for indoor or mobile reception. So yes, Jet Fizol, there are plans.
Right. So Fizol, hope the Technologies Mazlan managed to answer your question satisfactorily. If not, please, you can still comment in the comment section in Facebook. Look forward to your feedback. Okay, the next questions we're going to tackle is from Adrian Van. And this question is for Technologies Mazlan. This question is quite long if I read it out by text. So let me proceed to read it out. At the same time, I've asked some help to also display it up onto the slides. I hope you can see the full question there as well. With regards to the document TC T006 for DTH under section 4.2.13 for SPDIF connector, it is unclear if the SPDIF connector is mandatory requirement or it can be optional as part of the SDV hardware. In Adrian's opinion, the SPDIF connector should be optional as Dolby Digital, including 2.1, 5.1, 7.1 signals, can be routed to modern home theater systems via the HDMI, referring to 1.4B spec or better connector. If this is so, the language used in this section should be clear to indicate that this connector.
Okay,
I think the question
I
cut off a little bit there, but I think we got
yeah,
the gist of the question, right?
yeah. Adrian Van, I think he's from Astro. Yes, I think this is a valid question. Um, it should be optional because there's a lot of users out there who's using HDMI, particularly on the ARC, yeah, to connect their set-top boxes to their devices, and the surround audio is being relayed through the HDMI to your home theater via ARC, audio return channel. So I take note of this comment. We will relook into the language, but I personally think that it should be optional because there's a lot of methods to bring surround audio onto your home theater other than SPDIF.
Yeah, I think a solution can be also as an alternative. Either one, you must have one, either HDMI or SPDIF,
Yeah, yeah.
perhaps. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Can you? That's the end of some of the questions that we have. Give me a few minutes to check out if there's any more questions submitted.
There's one question from
Haj-
I'm just
Haji.
looking up here.
Aisha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. We have a question from Haji Aishuddin Nuruddin. Is there any implication on the price of new DTV sets? I think we can generalize these questions also. Is there any impact to DTV sets or set-top boxes as well?
Uh,
Any
oh,
implications on the price, for
okay.
our revisions?
I wish I have a manufacturer here, but I think I can roughly answer to this question. The pricing structure would actually be determined on the components used in the receivers, yeah, particularly on the flash memory, the processor, and whatnot. So the higher the spec is for a particular DTV sets, then the higher of the price to produce it. Hence, these technical codes actually sets out the minimum requirement for these devices because we do not want to burden the manufacturers by coming up with a higher spec for the TV sets. Hence, it has always been our approach. Yeah? Our best approach is to come up with a minimum benchmark or requirements for in our technical codes. Maybe other panelists can add to this. Okay. So, Tuan Haji, I think
Maybe
my
I have a view on this in regards to implication of prices of the new DTV sets, where I do believe that engagement with the TV manufacturers is key towards making these new DTV sets success in a way for sales, for them to make sales, good sales. Yeah, I think we have to look at the consumer price index of the country, of the Malaysian population, the what do you call that, inflation rate, so to speak, because whatever price that's to be set in the country has to be benchmarked against the affordability income of the people in the country. So I do agree that in putting in new components in the DTV sets with the new specifications, there might be an impact on slight of the pricing slightly, yeah, but we have to advise the manufacturers on the impact to the viewers in terms of consumers, in terms of their affordability to buy a new DTV set. That's my thinking about the pricing of these new DTV sets in the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's also another question, but it's related to what we've just discussed. We discussed about the price implications. Also from Haji Aishuddin, he also asked, is there any effect on existing DTV sets in the home? Any other effect, I guess, besides the price? Existing sets, yeah.
There should not be any any effect on the existing DTV set at homes, because actually the previous technical codes and the revised technical codes carry on the same spirit. We have not changed much in terms of the reception to a particular transmission. We are supporting DVB-T2 here. We're just putting in some future codecs for use, and this is actually an optional requirement. We're just planning for our future services, but all in all, it should not affect any DTV or set-top boxes that is already out there.
Okay. Today we have also another panelist, not yet introduced. He just managed to join in. Let me introduce again Dr. Ahmad Zaki, who is coming back.
Hi, Doctor.
Yeah, Dr. Ahmad Zaki Muhammad Saleh started his
Hi,
involvement in
Doctor.
MTSFB.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. So
Welcome
let me
back.
read out his introduction, as deserved by all panelists. All right. Dr. Ahmad Zaki started his involvement in MTSFB in year 2013 and has been actively contributing to the development of various technical codes under broadcast technology working groups since then. He also represented MTSFB in various events, including Digital Outlook Series and Asia Pacific Broadcast Union conferences. Dr. Ahmad Zaki received his Bachelor of Science Engineering with honours from University of Aberdeen, Scotland in 1989, PhD in engineering in 1994. In 2005, he obtained an Executive Masters of Business Administration, MBA, in International Marketing from Bern University of Applied Science in Switzerland. He is currently the Director of Technical Operations, TV Networks and Media Prima Berhad. Welcome, Dr. Zaki.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We have also another question submitted through one of our channels. And Dr. Zaki, I think you came in a timely fashion. Perhaps you can take this next one. And the question is there any planning on the 5G new radio for terrestrial broadcast in Malaysia?
Okay. Actually, okay. This is a very interesting question. Okay, in general, in Media Prima, we are extremely excited with 5G. Because 5G, many people don't know that 5G is not strictly reserved only for mobile communications. 5G, the latest revision 14, also has LTE broadcast in it. Well, the earlier revisions have got LTE broadcast, but the latest one introduces some additional features of LTE broadcast, which makes it very interesting. And when we say that 5G broadcast, what I mean is that receiving broadcast signal without SIM card. So this is something that we are looking into, because if that's the case, then your mobile sets will become TV sets as well. So because it's true broadcast, it's not multicast, unicast, or narrowcast. So as far as services is concerned, broadcasters are quite excited in looking into this option. But I guess whether it is going to be implemented or not is a question for DNB. I think everybody in the committee would know by now that Malaysia has adopted the single wholesale network approach. SWN. And this approach is actually very similar to what we did with DTV. I think Mazlan from the MyTV is a form of a single wholesale network lah. It's a form of a CIIP. So this approach is very similar, very similar. So they will be in charge of the radio portion of the network, and all the telecommunication operators or service providers will be merely service providers. They will feed in their content to DNB, Digital National, and Digital National Berhad will be the new people who owns the network infrastructure. So I guess DNB would be the better person to answer this question. But from the perspective of broadcasters, yes, we are very excited at looking at these new opportunities on 5G. And remember that 5G is your phones. So it is estimated by 2025, 80% of all the smartphones in Malaysia will be 5G capable. So that answers the first main, very, very important issue when you start a new technology, which is receiver. Receiver has always been the problem. When you start a digital TV, I think Mazlan knows, Puan Azina pun tahu, the biggest problem is receivers. When the plan to start digital radio, the one that's stalling the plan is receivers. So if we solve the receiver issue, it will solve one big elephant in the room already. So that's where 5G, LTE broadcast, or EMBMS, as they technically refer it to, will be something quite exciting to look at.
Correct.
I hope that answers the question. Yeah.
I just want to add to what Dr. Zaki has mentioned. I agree with him totally. On a large scale, for any new developments in terms of product and services, or even the transmission technology, we have to look into the end-to-end approach from a device level to the network level, as well as the application or content level. So all three major components needs to be in sync before we can introduce such services into Malaysia. So devices is very key. Secondly, these devices needs to be affordable for the rakyat, in order for it to have a good take up lah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zaki, Mazlan, for answering that question. I think it's a very good answer for a technology like 5G broadcast and how that would affect the digital terrestrial television as we have today. Next up, we have another question. Just came in from Facebook from Mr. Taufik. He didn't say where he's from. Then the question goes: there are some hybrid box in the market. How about IDTV? If there are any IDTV supported DTH, how the process of the certification in Malaysia? So I think the question comes to if it's a box which is both an IDTV as well as a DTH, a satellite as well as DTT.
I think he's mentioning that the hybrid box is with a combo tuner, T2 and S2, satellite and terrestrial. Yeah, maybe Puan Syahidah, you can answer this.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Okay, so Mr. Taufik mentioned here is IDTV. Just for information, the revised DTH technical code is only covering for set-top box. The reason why we did not include IDTV is due to recently the demand for the IDTV is relatively low for the DTH. However, if the DTH set-top box cover, as for the certification for the DTH set-top box, so as of current, there is no test suit for DTH compared to DTT. So the evaluation is basically based on the technical declaration. And however, as for the safety and EMC perspective, test reports are required for the purpose of certification. So however, SIRIM is in the planning process in developing the test suite for the DTH. Thank you.
Thanks, Puan Syahidah. So far, that is all the questions that we have. Shall we give it a few more minutes for any new questions to come in? So if you have a questions, member of the audience, this is now a good time to submit it. We are all on standby.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is actually quite a good question from Encik Fizul earlier. I just want to add from a broadcast, I mean, or from a platform operator such as MyTV, for us to come up with indoor or mobile reception, we need to look into a different modulation scheme or Fourier error correction in transmitting this. Um, I think for mobile reception is very interesting for Malaysia, but the current modulation that we are transmitting is actually focused for indoor. I'm sorry, for outdoor antennas, and also on certain indoor antennas. But this can be enhanced if we work together with the broadcaster as well as the device manufacturer. Again, here there's not a lot of mobile reception DTT mobile reception devices out there that is equipped in cars or public service vehicles, for example. So therefore, the reception quality, if we're using the same modulation now, would not be that impressive lah. Uh, so, Encik Fizul, I think we can look into this for as part of our future services, and this needs to be planned carefully and thoroughly, and should involve the manufacturers, the operators such as ourselves, and the broadcasters in bringing these services to the public. Dr. Zaki, any comment on this, Dr. Zaki?
Okay, okay. Ever since we started planning for digital terrestrial, we actually the broadcasters have always emphasized the importance of making the signal as robust as possible. This includes indoor reception as well as mobile. Not so much mobile, but more indoor lah. I think that is the term that we are a bit concerned about. I think now you are using 256 quadrature amplitude modulation, 256 QAM,
Betul,
if I'm not mistaken.
betul.
Earlier, when we were in early discussion, we were suggesting that maybe there could be some marks which are using 64 QAM. Because once you reduce the quadrature amplitude modulation, you immediately increase the signal to noise ratio by 20-30%. These are all very technical figures, so I don't have any calculation to back up this. But if you talk to people like Rowan Schwartz and stuff, that they can give you some kind of proof of or calculation to back this thing up lah. But my suggestion to MyTV is to look at the possibility of separate pipes or physical layer pipes that can enable lower QAM to enable indoor reception. And I think indoor reception is very important, Mazlan, because you know, as I mentioned during the last question lah, reception is always key. You want to make it as easy to receive your signal as much as possible. So I can understand where the gentleman who asked the question or the lady who asked the question coming from, but I think this is a question of how you set up your network lah.
Correct. The reason of choosing 256 was actually evolves around the capacity that we plan for Malaysia. But in the future, yes, we know that this has been tested in neighboring countries, and they were successful by using 64 COM to improve the indoor and mobile reception quality. So perhaps we can start looking into this, into part of our future services, and plan for this, as well as encourage the manufacturers to start planning and distributing the needed devices to receive this new transmission.
All right. Thanks for that. Next up, we have another question from Ayam Al Bukhari from RJS. And the question is the HBB TV platform mandatory for all the receivers? Why not CASP in the My Preview has not mandated the HBB TV signals in their broadcast feed?
Very, very interesting question. I don't know. Puan Azina want to take this one good?
Yes, yes.
Okay, maybe I can start the ball rolling. Thank you for your question, Cik Al-Bukhari. Yeah?
Very good question.
Sounds very familiar, Al-Bukhari. But nevertheless, it's a good question because when we first developed, I think together with the Standards Forum, when we first developed the technical codes or specifications for the receivers, it's basically a basic technical code whereby HBB-TV is an option for the manufacturers to adopt in their receivers. Yeah. Moving forward, the MCMC has initiated industry work group to actually look into HBB-TV service deployment in the country, where I think the gentlemen in this forum are really the chairman of the work group, like Dr. Zaki, he's the chairman for content and applications development, and TS Mazlan is the chairman for the receivers. Yeah. And MCMC has started this initiative back in, I think, early this year. And we are seriously looking at the possible business case for the broadcasters to adopt HBB TV as part of their service offerings. Okay. So we are still in the midst of groping, I would say. We are plodding and prodding, and we are now going somewhere in terms of establishing. We have established the 3 work groups. We're going to get some feedback from the viewers in terms of their demand in HBB TV services consumption, because we do not want to create something that people do not want to consume. So we are going to try to do the egg first. It's a chicken and egg situation. So maybe we'll try to find out whether this egg is palatable, edible to everyone. Then we decide on what kind of HBB TV development should be made available to the public by the broadcasters as well as MyTV as the platform provider, right? So it may be a case in the future where HBB TV shall be mandated in the receivers, or it may be a case where it remains still as an option. Nevertheless, we will keep you updated on the development of this HBB TV, initiative to the public. Okay.
Okay.
But just to add there, we do transmit HBB TV, particularly we receive signaling from RTM and Media Prima Berhad. So Encik Al-Bukhari, you can perhaps browse through the services, the HBB TV services that they provide, if you have such devices in your premise.
Maybe we would like to ask Al-Bukhari whether RTM actually has provided some HBB TV service, and whether Al-Bukhari is aware that there are several applications already available, despite the fact that it's an option. Yeah. So give us some feedback, because I'm very interested to know that this question pops up from the public. Yeah. So it's a positive indication actually for us to proceed in our HBB TV agenda. Let us know, Cik Al-Bukhari. You could be one of our focus group members. Participate in our focus group member. We take note of your interest. Right.
But just to add here, Sirim has actually done a lot in the past few years. They have actually provided some conformance testing on HBB TV, Puan Syahida, and I think this is very encouraging.
Yes.
Yeah, can you share with us what has Sirim done for HBB TV?
Okay, maybe as for HBBTV, currently, as for the certification, we accept test report from any external labs, all right, because we do not have the full test suite, all right, the consortium provided that. But then we have an initiative to develop the facilities to test for the localized test case. And we also have included the live test, which we have the media prima for the TV3, and also the RTM
Yeah,
signals in the live signals. Yeah. So
yeah.
that's
So
yeah, that's all.
so hopefully we can get more broadcasters to churn out HBB TV services in the near future lah. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's all the questions that we have from Facebook. To end off this Q&A session, I would like to invite each of the panelists to provide last comments before we end this session. So I'll ask Puan Azlina for her last comments.
Thank you, Dr. Leong. I think this initiative to revise the technical codes for broadcast receivers is a very important initiative to the industry. Malaysia do not want to be left behind in terms of technological advancement. And I think the relevant stakeholders should be excited about this initiative where we're looking into future technologies in terms of the DTT service offering moving forward. Because as you know, free to air service is still alive and kicking, despite the fact that there's been a lot of you know, comments and push from internet players, OTTs, and all those new service offerings. I still believe free to air is still alive. You know, it is still relevant, and it is important for us to keep on evolving in terms of technological enhancement. So we would really like to seek support from the industry in this initiative to revise and also to adopt new technological input and aspects into the DTT broadcast receivers.
Thank you very much. And next up, we have Puan Hafizah.
Okay. Generally, the revised TC, the non-critical parameters in this TC has been identified and has been removed, and so that we can only focus more on critical parameters. So by revising this TC, we hope it will be beneficial to both manufacturer, industry, and users specifically.
Thank you. Okay, next up we have Puan Shaida. Any last comments?
Okay, just a short one here. Okay. So I believe in everyone here aware that technical codes are living documents, right? So these living documents that must grow and adapt with current situations and requirements. So I think this revision is crucial and timely because we provide opportunity for industries out there to always make sure that their receivers are complied with requirements, with current technologies and also current requirements. So that's all. Thank you. Over to
All
you,
right.
Dr. Lian. Yeah.
Technologist Mazlan, any last comments?
Yes, I would like to continue from Puan Shaida. Actually, I would like to encourage all the manufacturers and broadcasters to come and join us in NTFSB because honestly, we need your opinions, your views, and it's a good platform for you to share your future plans and development. Yeah, so that these technical codes can continue to include such developments, and we can populate and also assess what will be relevant to Malaysia. So I would highly encourage all manufacturers, broadcasters, and platform operators to participate in all the events that they have actually arranged. Um, so that we can provide better technical codes for Malaysia. And lastly, thank you MTFSB for inviting us over. So to give us a chance to share with the public on the changes and revisions that we have made to these papers, and I wish you all the best in the future, and stay safe. Thank you.
All right, and last but not least, and I think it's also very apt that Dr. Zaki did the opening speech, and now he has the last comments. Dr. Zaki,
Okay,
over to
okay.
you.
Yeah, it's always very difficult. Everybody has already spoken, and okay. Anyway, all the key things that I want to say has already been mentioned. So thank you all. I only want to say that theses are very important documents. But however important it is only the first step in making it better for the rakyat, because theses will be used for when you import the materials and stuff like that. The next would be the enforcement. Without a good enforcement, technical documents, technical guidelines will be meaningless. So everybody will have to read and understand and try and their best to actually conform to these documents, or else this document will be merely just document, just pieces of papers and books and stuff like that. So on that note, I would like to thank you all the members for who have actually contributed to all these documents. Not to forget all the members who are here today who have given their inputs. So these are very, very valuable inputs. I think definitely Dr. Leon has taken notes, and we'll go back and look at all these questions and see whether there are any things that we need to redress and stuff like that. So anyway, thank you very much, and to all the panelists, to all the members, and all the people who have been working with me. I would just like to take this opportunity to say really, really thank you very much. So I think that's about it, Dr. Leon. Thank you very much. Back to
All
you.
right,
And
thank you,
not to
Dr.
forget to you, Dr. Leon, thank you for
Yeah,
moderating us
Yes.
today. Yeah, you've always been
my
quite
pleasure.
a valuable player in our discussions.
Well done, Dr. Leon.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
well
thank
done,
you.
Dr. Leon.
All
Good
right,
job.
all right. Thank you, everyone. Also, we also thank all the participations from the all the in Facebook and all the channels. Very very good questions. So happy to see that all the questions are of very high quality. And together with this kind of feedbacks is how we drive standards forward. Um, so let me on behalf of everyone here, uh, say thank you again, and to conclude this session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.